When you consider animals on the brink of extinction, what comes to your mind? Siberian tigers, maybe mountain gorillas? But what about thinking closer to home? What about the animals that may or may not be lurking in your back garden? Well, Natural England and the Heritage Lottery Fund have launched a Back from the Brink programme, and this is in order to save 20 UK-based species that are threatened with extinction. It's one of the most ambitious conservation projects of its kind, with nearly £4.6 million being provided by the National Lottery. So how can we lend a helping hand? Well, Guy Tansley is from Bugsnstuff in Gateshead and joins me now. Good morning.
Hi.
Now, first of all, we can't ignore the fact that you have brought a couple of things in with you this morning. One is in a little kind of Tupperware. The other is in quite a large plastic container. Tell us what you've brought in.
In the smaller one is a fantastic cockroach species. I thought I'd bring a cockroach along because it represents a type of insect which people naturally have an aversion against.
Yeah. But it's not a small cockroach, is it?
It's a tropical cockroach, yeah, so it's a good size. It's a good 3 or 4 inches long. And in the larger box is one of the world's largest amphibians. It's a marine toad.
This toad is huge. Producer Laura has just described it as being as big as my face, and it probably is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
How big?
She's not fully grown. The world record is something like 35 centimetres from nose to vent, so this one's a little bit shorter than that.
Gosh. Now, she's sat nice and quietly in a little plastic box there. Is there any chance that she will jump out of that?
There's always a chance. You know, when you're working with animals, there's always a risk of things happening, but I can usually read what she's going to do. She'll normally sit up and look up to the top of the box before she leaps, so I'm standing by.
Okay, there's warning signs just in case. Because, things like that don't usually kind of bother me, but I'll be honest, I think it's the size. It's the size that's quite intimidating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you always been interested in creepy crawlies and bugs and the likes?
Yeah, I have. Very, very young age, I used to feed the spiders in my parents' garden. The orb webs that you find in the frosty mornings in autumn. I was fascinated by them, and it's just expanded from there. My brother's 5 years older than me, and he's obviously now works in London Zoo, so that passion's always been in our family. And then as the time progressed, I thought, why not change my passion for spiders and insects and animals into a job?
Fantastic. Now, does this list of animals that are struggling to survive in the UK actually surprise you? Because it's mainly different forms of beetles and spiders, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't surprise me, really. I think it will surprise a lot of people, especially because, like you say, most people think of tropical, bigger elephants, stuff like that, which is always endangered. But because I'm aware of the world around us and more involved in this type of thing, it doesn't come as a surprise to me. But no surprise that beetles are high on the list. After all, a quarter of all species on the planet is a beetle.
Right. So,
25% of all life organisms on the planet are beetles.
There's all sorts of things here. We've got oak click beetles on the list, violet click beetles. Do you know what all these breeds are then? You know this.
Yeah.
Of course you do. Is this a man-made problem, do you think, Guy?
Yes, I would say so, yes, definitely.
Because we're quick to squash insects, aren't they? Even if we don't know what they are.
Part of what I do is trying to educate people about how important animals are and trying to get people to understand the animals and how they fit in. So when I do school groups, it's all about educating the next generation so they care about the world around them. And hopefully they'll make a change in the future, because it is a human-related problem, and we need to address that.
Because I think we're very quick to be scared, aren't we, of bugs and insects. So if we saw, let's say, a ladybird spider, which is on the list, we might presume it's poisonous and be quite scared automatically by that.
Well, that's it. I mean, if you actually have a look at the image of that ladybird spider, it's got a fantastic name because it is bright red with black spots. It's a beautiful spider, the males anyway, of that colour. And that thing about everybody thinking stuff's dangerous, poisonous, of course it is a spider. It is venomous, not poisonous, but not dangerous at all to us. Stuff in this country, and generally spiders and venomous animals worldwide are not really that much of a danger to us. The media always makes a big story of dangerous animals, and they like a good scare story. So, as with most things, there's not much fun in the truth for the media point of view anyway.
Talking to David there just a few moments ago, I said, really, if they disappeared, the 20 species on this list, would it make much of a difference? What roles... He kind of applied the Kaplunk analogy there, which was a really good way of visualising it. What role do these animals play in the circle of life, if we can bring a bit of the Lion King into it?
Well, mainly it's the food chain, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right? Plants are at the bottom of the food chain. Luckily, as humans, we're at the top. Nothing actively hunts and kills us en masse. All right? But everything below us gets killed and eaten by something else. All right, so that's, once you take out, say, for example, this fantastic cockroach, there's thousands of types of cockroaches. You take out cockroaches, there's a huge gap in the food chain, which all the frogs and the spiders and the lizards and even people now eat. So there's a huge gap in that food chain, and that has a knock-on effect all the way up the food chain to ultimately we're at the top, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to go tragically wrong if we don't sort something out.
And obviously through your work, letting children and adults learn a bit more about insects and amphibians. And by the way, is she's okay? Massive toad there, she's fine?
Yeah, she's fine, yeah.
Not showing any signs of wanting to jump?
No.
Okay,
no.
That's fine. Are you hoping to break down these fears and these stigmas and give us a little bit more of an understanding?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's all about education. I tend to say my events and my school workshops and my things that I do, it's more education than entertainment. And there's a lot of people who do similar things to me, but, drape snakes around people's necks, put spiders on people's heads.
Yeah.
I'm not all about that. To me, animal welfare is the priority, and also getting the message across that these are not to be abused and used as toys, and that we need to up the profile of all the things, the spiders, the snakes, the toads, that people don't like. All right? So if you get rid of them, we're going to be in serious problems. Insects, one of the most important animals on the planet, great recyclers, created the planet and the environment for us to survive and thrive. They've been around millions of years before us, and maybe they'll be around millions of years after us.
Quite probably, to be fair. So when you do, show these animals, these amphibians, the insects that you have with you today, are the reactions quite similar to my reaction from people who have never seen something the size that I mean, I'm going to take a picture and tweet it, by the way, because you need to see the size of this toad. It's ridiculous. It's huge. Is that a similar reaction that you get?
You do, especially with adults. Catching kids at a younger age is great because haven't got any preconceived ideas and no forms. I always talk about cockroaches, and I say, the kids, I get the cockroach out and I say, look, that most people don't like cockroaches, and the kids all go, well, why is that? Look, it's a lovely little animal, but ask an adult and they'll have a cockroach story about seeing them on holiday, cockroach infested places that they've been. So as children get older, even when you go into secondary schools, their reaction is completely different. They all become much more scared and aware of things, mainly just because they're becoming more aware of everything and they're understanding the stories that they're catching from the media, from the adults. So getting them at an early stage in the primary school years is a great way to show them. And in my experience, when you've got a classroom full of 30 children, 29 of them will hold something, will touch something that they've never seen before, and that's a great introduction to animals and insects.
Absolutely, it creates that interest and that awareness, doesn't it? Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Guy, from Bugs and Stuff and Gateshead. It's been really interesting. As I say, I am going to take a picture of this huge toad, as long as it doesn't disturb her, because I genuinely do not want her to jump out of that plastic box. and I will tweet that for you, so watch out for that. Thank you so much for coming in here to BBC Newcastle, Radio for the North East. Ed Sheeran now and Castle on the Hill.